white. So what I'm doing is I'm using some of the edges, and then I'm also smoothing it out as I go back up. So you just kind of randomly Okay, now before I get too far up in this area where I want a skull, I'm going to go ahead and I like to start with the nose first. Kind of gives me the center point of my skull. And I do the eyebrow up in here, so I know that where my bottom of it and the top of my skull is going to be if I start with the middle. So I'm just lightly spraying this in, getting the basic concept where I want this to be. Kind of lightly putting in some teeth. Now I'm going to come in and start giving it more definitions, using my edges. I want you to note as I'm working on this, I'm actually starting and stopping my paint flow. I'm just barely pulling back on the needle and pushing forward. So I'm start. And also my distance that I get from the surface and back here. As I want a slightly brighter color with my white, I'll get a little bit closer. And as I want it to fade off, I start backing it up. So start and stop. I work in light to dark. Common mistake people will make is they'll go too dark too fast. And since we're working on a dark surface, we're going from our lightness and we're going to try to let our surface show through here. So if you put too much white down, it can be a little bit harder to come back and fix that if it gets too bright on you. I have a pretty good white surface down. I'm going to switch to my silver paint. I'm going to throw some silver over top of the white and over top of some of the black areas. This is going to give me basically two different shades of silver. One's going to be a brighter silver where it's hitting the white and a little bit darker where it's hitting the black areas. And this I'm going to just kind of mist over in sections. It's going to be a little bit hard to see putting this down. You just got to remember when it's cleared, it's going to pop out, especially when it hits the sun. I'm doing the same thing with the stencil, kind of randomly hitting some hard edges and then blurring it out as I go. Changing the pattern around a little bit here and there. Now if you want some of your smoke to go behind your bevel, and you don't want to take all the time and mask all this off, you can take your stencil again, come right up to the edge, and this is where you got to be careful. You want to get it right to the edge and spraying Like so, you can make it look like it's going from behind it. And to give it a better effect, you want to put some in front. Now, this is going to be a little hard to see, but you just got to keep in mind it'll show up when it's cleared. Okay, now I'm going to switch to the black. Poured just a couple drops of black in my hairbrush. I'm switching over to my reverse of my stencil, like a puzzle. I'm using the opposite part, so I'm going to use these negative parts. And I'm going to use this to help me detail out some of the eyes, just to bring them out a little bit. You don't want to use this too much. Just kind of give it some hard lines and some soft lines. You can see how I'm bringing out some of the features like the cheekbones and the eyes. Just using it in a couple spots for hard lines, and then I'm misting out over top of it to darken up some of the spots where I may have it too bright or not looking quite the way I want it. Starting with the nose. I'm going to start doing the eyes. And at that point I start drawing in the cheeks. Figure out where I want the teeth to be, the bottom of it. And I'm not real concerned about messing up where I want it, because you can come back and I can always fix it. Looking up at the nose of this, I had my paper on here. The paint was still wet, and where it was wet, my stencil touched it. I made a little line. No big deal. You make a mistake like that, or if your stencil starts getting wet, you just come back. Just blend it out till it's gone. If you need to come back in with some black, you can do that. Try not to be afraid to experiment with some of this stuff too. Always come back, add more white, you can add more silver. Play with the different colors, try to get what the effect that you want. Switch back to my white. I'll come back to this side on the right, and I'm going to just kind of enhance it a little bit. I didn't exactly like how I liked it, so I'm going to come back in, just add a couple more highlights to it. Testing it first on my stencil, not on my surface. I like to add just a little bit of blue to it. I like to put it just real light in little areas here and there. When it's cleared, you'll see it come out. Can't really see it when I'm spraying on here right now. But I'm just going to freehand just a little bit here and there. Helps give it a little bit of that smoky flavor. Next color is I'm going to take some black. And where I got the smoke going over top of the bevel, I'm going to spray some black in there just to give it like a shadow effect to it. I'm going to use the same stencil as before. Can also use this black in here to maybe clean up any overspray, maybe enhance a little spot here and there in some of your artwork. Okay, once I've gotten everything sprayed looking the way I want it, it's now ready to go to clear, get ready for the customer. I'm going to match up the skulls and the smoke to the backside panels of this rhino. Make everything look similar. Maybe come back and add a few more skulls. I think at this point it looks pretty good. We're just going to continue on to the next part.